Hi, I'm Mike Miller. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks so much for checking out The Other Side. My guest today is a guitar player and keyboard player, wonderful musician, and I'm honored to have Tim Courtney here today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Appreciate you being here.
So glad to be here.
How long have you lived around the Denton area?
I moved to Denton 2005, so it's been 13 years. And I think it was pretty early on that I realized that I'm probably going to stay here. You know, I came down from Buffalo, New York, and when you have the choice of staying here or going back to the snowy winters, the choice kind of makes itself.
So, it really snows up there, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've seen some days that I can try to describe to people that have lived in the South and Southwest all their lives, and I just don't know that they can believe what I tell them.
My cousins lived up there, and she used to write letters about how much snow they had.
Yeah, I've seen days where I didn't know if someone stole my car, if it was just buried under snow. Fortunately, it was buried under snow.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it was buried under snow.
Oh, the cars just look like humps along the streets.
Yeah. It can get like that in the really bad months. So, I got here and someone put it into perspective early on. They said, yeah, you don't know how much the sun actually shines until you move outside of Buffalo. And I thought, you know what? I'm realizing that really quickly, and so I kind of, moved here and just kind of fell in love with the town, and I've been here since.
But there are a lot of musicians in New York State.
I guess you can say that, for any place, which Denton more than anything. That's one thing I notice is it just seems that everyone's a musician. In Buffalo, yeah, there was always, people in bands and good music schools in the area. But yeah, I think you can say that pretty much about anywhere. And, I could name a list of notable musicians that came from Buffalo, and not all of them classical guitarists like myself, but yeah, you're going to find that anywhere, I think. And it's one of the great things about music is it's just, everywhere. It's
oh yeah, something that brings enjoyment to almost everybody.
Yeah, and more so if you can play it and share it with people and entertain yourself. I mean, that's one thing that I've been happy about is that I don't need to have a stage to play and enjoy the music I'm making. It just helps because then I can entertain more people.
Oh yeah. So when you were a kid, you started playing keyboard and then went to guitar and.
Yeah, and I was kind of a latecomer to music. I was like 15.
15,
when
yeah.
I had a paper route that I had when I was in grade school and high school, and I think the first year that I had the paper route, I got a bunch of Christmas tips at the end of the year, and I was in an electronics store basically an electronics store that had a bunch of keyboards, and I just started playing on one, and I kind of had an itch to play music, and I kind of honed in on that, and I spent my Christmas tip money on this keyboard and toyed around with it for a few months, and then sometime around the following spring I signed up for lessons, and within months I just started to get this itch to play guitar, so I was doing both keyboard and guitar lessons at the same time, and unfortunately there's only so much time in a day, and if you're spending all that time on guitar, you realize that, okay, I'm not going to stick with this keyboard so much, but I always enjoyed playing it, but I was just drawn to that six-string instrument that just won't let me out of its grip.
Do you use various tunings?
Oh yeah, like the most common tunings that I use when I play is either going to be standard tuning or what we call drop D tuning, where your sixth string gets lowered down to a D from the usual E note. But I've played some things where I've tuned two strings, like the fifth and the sixth string come down in pitch. But I think the most unconventional tuning that I ever encountered was a piece written for flute and guitar by a former teacher of mine by the name of James Pierkowski. He wrote a piece where 5 of the 6 strings are retuned, and the actual sound of the open strings would give you like what's called an A augmented chord, so it's a very dissonant chord.
Oh, really?
And he did it to kind of capture the sound of musical influences he had from both North Indian music and Bulgarian vocal music, and it's an odd tuning, and it's a really cool sounding piece that he wrote. But yeah, when you're performing it, you have to explain to the audience, this will be a minute while I tune every string but one. And
yeah.
Fortunately, they're patient, and so they wait for the end result, and usually it was always a rousing success when I played it.
That's great. And in Western music, we have like a 12-note scale.
Well, 12 semitones make up the octave, and from that, the major and minor scales are comprised of 8 of those notes, depending on the order that you play them.
But like from other parts of the world, like Indian music and Asian, Chinese music, so on, it's different from that, isn't it?
Yeah, you can find
microtones.
Microtones that are used. So like when you're listening to like an Indian musician playing like a sitar, they're gonna get those bends in there. And kind of pull some notes sharp or flat. I do a lot of Japanese music with my duo partner, and on the guitar, the one thing that I have to do is I have to bend certain notes flat, because traditionally they would actually be played a little bit flat from what our equivalent scales would be. So, it's something that to the Western ear, you have to explain. Yeah, it's going to sound weird when I play this note, but I swear that's what it's supposed to sound like.
Yeah.
You're expecting to hear it here, and it's just down here. So, and it's interesting to try to, transcribe music. The music that I've done most with my partner has been arrangements of music for the koto, which is like a zither stringed instrument.
Really?
With like a movable bridge. So like if you watch a koto player, you'll actually see them from time to time move the bridges to change the pitch of the string.
Oh, really?
And then the instrument she's emulating on the flute is the shakuhachi, which is a wooden end-blown flute. And
what is the name of the duo?
Call ourselves Zuo. It's DZUO, and we derived that name because we're both left-handed.
Really?
Even though we play our instruments traditionally.
And what is her name?
Her name is Carolyn Kais.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and she is a flute instructor at Tarleton State University.
Really?
And we met here at UNT like 10 or more years ago and played together for about a year. We did one of my doctoral recitals here, and then she ended up moving out of state to pursue her doctorate in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah.
And several years ago, she came back to the region. Her husband got a job at Cameron University in Lawton, Oklahoma, and since she was close enough by, she said, "Do you want to play together again?" And I jumped at the chance. And last year they moved to Stephenville to work at Tarleton State, so they're a little closer now. So it makes it even more convenient.
And you guys performed at the National Flute Association?
Yeah, in August we went to Orlando, and it's a really large convention. It was held at one of the big hotels in Orlando, and the amount of people performing, the amount of concerts that were held there, I was just amazed, because I've gone to guitar festivals that have been on a smaller scale than this, and there's always something to do with those. With this thing, I mean, there was just round the clock, like from morning until evening, concerts going on. They gave me a program for the entire festival, and it was like a phone book.
Really?
And it was like that, that thick, and you had to like go through page after page after page.
There are so many musicians in this world, yeah.
Yeah, and so it was a really big honor because she had submitted.
Exposure.
Yeah, and she had submitted a proposal the year before for us to go and play when they had the convention in Minneapolis, and it didn't get accepted. And then last year she resubmitted that proposal and it got accepted, and we were extremely happy. And not only do you get to play, but you get to spend a few days in Florida. So
oh yeah, really?
that was a nice little addition to the performance.
How long of a set did y'all do?
We actually just played one piece, about a 13-minute piece on a program that each program kind of had a theme, and so this one was more about music that was either arranged from other instruments or just kind of outside the box of traditional flute music or music written for like flute and piano.
Because you guys were more or less working toward replicating the sound of these other instruments.
Yeah, and
through the flute and guitar.
Yeah, and I think that there was a lot of people, at least what I heard from some people that were standing outside after the concert, that they heard some people saying, "Yeah, I didn't know that I was going to like it when it started off, but yeah, it turned out to be really, really great, really interesting because it didn't sound like anything else, probably." On the program or on any program at the festival.
It wasn't kind of something they were tired of listening to. It was so fresh, I guess, and new. Yeah.
Yeah, and any time that you can, just play your instrument in an unconventional manner, I think it really gets the attention of people that are, so used to playing the normal way by the rules that were, set in place for, generations ahead of them. And then when they hear someone bending pitches and trying to mimic the sound of a wooden flute on a silver flute, it just got their attention. And then, I kind of felt a little out of place because I was one of 5 guitarists that were performing in the whole festival, but it was nice to, be a different instrument that could kind of accompany the flute for that one performance. It was just great.
And around here locally, you began working with Polly Maynard?
Yeah, I've been teaching with Polly's Child Bloom program here for about 13 years.
Really?
I think I started with her the spring after I moved down here, so like 2006, so a little over 12 years.
What age ranges do y'all teach?
The Child Bloom program is geared to students between like 5 and 12.
Oh, really?
So any students that I get at that age are going to be using the Child Bloom curriculum. And it's great because you start kids off just teaching them from the first lesson to play a song. They can sit down, they can learn to play a couple strings and accompany little songs like Hot Cross Buns. And when you're that age and you come in for your first lesson and you're able to play something right away, that really just makes their day. And
is it similar to the Suzuki method?
I've never really studied the Suzuki method,
really?
but it is. It's kind of its own method that I would assume has some similarities in getting kids to play.
And kids just learn so much faster usually.
And then once they've kind of learned some songs, as Polly says, we teach them by rote at the beginning. There's no note reading. There's none of that. There's just here are the places you put your fingers. Here's how it sounds. And when you can get a class of students together and they can play different parts to a song and all kind of come together and be playing ensemble music within their first few lessons.
It's so fascinating to them, I'm sure. Empowering,
Yeah, and it's great because you'll always have students that just are dedicated and keep working at it. And in every week that they come back and you see that they've made such progress, as a teacher, you can't ask for anything more. It really validates what you do. And, I'm really happy to do it. And so it's been hard to believe it's been like 12 years, but I've been.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming down today, and I'm going to save some time for you to play some music for us. And y'all stay tuned to check out Tim Courtney doing some music for you here today. And thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great day.
This is a piece called Un Día de Noviembre by the Cuban guitarist-composer Leo Brouwer. All right, this next piece is an arrangement that I made of Tom Petty's Free Fallin'. This next piece is one that I wrote years ago, before I ever studied classical guitar, and it's called 3994. This next one is an arrangement of the Beatles' I'll Follow the Sun. And this last one is a short piece by the Spanish guitarist Francisco Tárrega entitled Lágrima.
Follow your dreams, and they say, do what you want. money will come.